It's a trap!
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
This is the Team of Rivals podcast.
Everything you want to hear from the big sports to the big screen.
He's all by himself, fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No! Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
He doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
Time winding down. Michael for three. Yes! She is gone!
I can't believe what I just saw.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
You believe in miracles? Yes!
You may fire when ready.
What?
Good evening, Cubs and Cardinals fans. It's Thursday, December 10th, and I'm just going to set the stage right now. Tonight's going to be a complete shit show. If you're a baseball fan, this may only last 15 minutes. I may drop out randomly, so if you're watching this, enjoy the question mark while I log back in, because apparently paying for 300 megabyte internet service in the Chicago suburbs only gets you the equivalent connection to a 14.4 dial-up in 1991. In addition, there's not a whole lot to talk about in baseball, and we got news today that there are 10 Star Wars offerings coming out, and obviously with the nerds who represent this show, you can expect that that's what we are going to talk about. So without any further ado, I'm just going to bring on my co-host and our special guest. My co-host, number 48 on the top cards on Twitter, according to Cards Conclave.
Can you believe that?
The man is moving up the list.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to include that in the introductions from now on.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Pete Geddes here just outside of Chicago. We got Elliot Dewey in Sandwich. My son literally does not believe that you live in Sandwich. He thought that I was making it up when I told him you lived in Sandwich.
Most people
it was
do.
a joke. Yep. He thought it was a joke. I think I'm going to have to start referring to you as Earl. And so maybe that's what it is, right? From Chicago, Pete Geddes, our special guest, permanent special guest, the Earl of Sandwich, Elliot Dewey, and number 48 on the Cards Conclave, top cards on Twitter, Ron Nuttall.
Can we just use that from now on? Could I just put number 48 as a graphic just over my panel right here?
I think that's just what we're going to refer to you as, not Ron, just number 48.
Okay. All right. I'll go with that. In fact, you just keep talking. I'll work on a little something special here real quick, and I'll flip it over to you and Elliot, and I'll be right back. Or yeah, you and Elliot, I mean.
So I promised on Twitter and Instagram that this was going to be a Ron heavy show, at least to start, because not only did we have to introduce, I'm sorry. I got to get the number right. Not only did I say that this was going to be a number 48 heavy show because of his ranking in the top cards on Twitter, but also today is a very special day in number 48's existence. It's Rule 5 draft day, otherwise known as number 48 hates the fucking Padres. Now, because it's 2020 and we can't have anything nice or normal, there was a very consistent theme going on throughout the I'm sorry, do you not want to be referred to as number 48? You'd prefer to be new text? Number 49.
49. Oh, there we go.
There we go. How's that? Is that better?
That's awesome.
Here, we'll just put it right there. That'll be there for the show. Hold on, let me copy that over because I want to make sure that we all can enjoy that. There we go.
That we all remember it. Yeah, keep it well in mind.
That's right. There we go. All right.
Nice. So listen, number 48, you said that you did listen in on the Rule 5 draft, and from my understanding, there was a lot of this. Pass.
There was a lot of that, especially during, there's obviously various rounds in the Rule 5 draft. There's a major league level, and it goes down through the minors, AAA, AA, and so on. But I'd never heard one before, and I know everything's kind of weird this year. This week is generally it's a big week for us on the show, and anybody who covers baseball, because it's the baseball winter meetings. They gather in one location, a lot of interviews, a lot of activity. And this year wasn't like that. It was the winter Zoom meetings, and literally those guys are doing their jobs like we're all forced to at this point, except Elliot. He's got to be out there. But I thought, well, you know what? Let me get an ear on this, because you know why I was listening. You've already mentioned it. Everybody knows why I'm listening to the Rule 5 draft for the first time, because I'm listening to the fucking San Diego Padres. I want to know who they're going to take this time. Not that any of those guys have really mattered. It was just irritating. You vultures that sit up there at the top 3, top 5 picks year after year, and who are you going to rob from the Cardinals organization this freaking time? Well, they didn't, because they had to pick number 28 this year, because they decided to be good for a few years. They'll be back on top of the Rule 5 draft order here soon, but they didn't pill for anybody this year. But I did listen to the AAA round. I caught it kind of late. I couldn't listen to the Major League round. I caught on too late. And so, guys, if you've never heard this before, just let me give you a little taste here of what listening to the Rule 5 draft is like.
Toronto. Toronto, can you announce your selection, please?
This is fascinating.
Does Toronto have internet?
Is Toronto aware that the Rule 5 draft is happening?
And there you go. That's what it was like listening to the Rule 5 draft. Yes, Pete, they're tethered into Comcast, evidently, just like you are tonight, and so they were having issues connecting. But I tell you what, the rest of the rounds weren't much to really talk about. The scary thing is that Tampa Bay, and I believe it was in the AAA round. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm off around. Tampa Bay did Rule 5 in the minor league portion of this, did pick a Cardinals player. So no doubt within the next 2 or 3 years that player that they just picked will probably show up in a playoff push at some point in time. So if there's anything to be said. Or
maybe the player to be named later in an upcoming Padres-Rays trade. So don't rule that out.
Yeah,
Padres
most likely
end up with them eventually.
Yeah, or if he's really good, he'll end up a Dodger. So that's just kind of how that's all playing out. But there's really nothing to report from this. I know that Kyle Reese right now is doing his prospects after dark. He probably has a much greater insight on who some of these guys are. At least maybe he had time to look a few of them up. But I don't know that the Cardinals lost anybody necessarily that's real nameable, except for a kid named Brink out of AA. And I think that's maybe who Tampa Bay grabbed. He's a pitcher. So yeah, most likely he'll be like a top 5 Cy Young candidate here in a few years.
You would think so.
Yeah.
And Elliot, I don't think that anything really happened with the Cubs either. I think I saw that they picked up 3 names, 1 in the major league portion and 2 in the minor league portion. And yeah, I don't think they really lost anybody of significance. So
I don't think they have anybody of significance to lose.
And I think one of the struggles this year, and I think that that's part of the reason why the Rule 5 was such a flop this year, is because nobody has any current scouting information. So that was my kind of thought. Unless you felt like you had solid information on a prospect from having scouted them before, you weren't gonna make any moves because you didn't even get to see them play.
Toronto has dish. Gene comments. Yes, they have satellite internet. I see.
I
old
do
buddy.
Believe that's my dad's connection.
Your dad's what? What did you say? Never mind.
Whoa,
Bob. That wasn't fair. See, your old buddy Eric Fisher made a comment. He said riveting. He must have been listening to he's either talking about the show or he's talking about the clip I just played. Take your pick.
Probably talking about the show.
Show.
Speaking of the minors, brief little mention here. Minor league affiliations announced over the last 48 hours. We expected that teams were going to get slashed, but the Cubs lose their short season A-ball associate in Eugene. The Cardinals lose 2. Their short season associate in State College, Pennsylvania,
State
and then
College
the
in
Johnson City rookie ball team.
Yep. And I
So,
know my brother-in-law played in Johnson City when he was in rookie ball. I don't know if he played in State College or not, but I'd have to ask him. So, you know what? Hats off to those organizations. It's tough, but it happened all around baseball. I think they kept their 4 big ones though. Memphis stays, Springfield, Peoria becomes high A now, while Palm Beach becomes A. So that was
And
really
same thing happening with the Cubs, flip-flopping their high A and low A teams. Myrtle Beach becomes the low A squad, and South Bend becomes high, which makes sense for both organizations. You want your 3 highest levels as close to the Major League home as possible. So
yeah, especially during this time. You know, one of the it would have been great to bring somebody like Colin tonight, but I know he's doing his own show because he's got so much insight and background into the minor leagues, and for that matter, Tara Wellman does too. So if you're checking out any. If you want to get a better deep dive into anything that's like minor league related, maybe take a look at what those guys are doing this week, because I know that they put out a lot of stuff last year when Manfred and baseball were pushing shrinking down the minor league organization, which is it's essentially cutting out parts of a company's R&D, right? Like the less you have, the less options you have later. And yeah, I know it's the percentages are low sometimes. They're low all the time that these kids make it, but I think the more organizations you take out of it, I don't know how the game's better off long term. I really don't. It feels like this is about money, and it likely just is, and that's it. But it's a shame. I mean, you know, I don't know what happened to Kannapolis. Kannapolis is a town that's really close to where I'm at here, and it's a White Sox single A. So hopefully it's still there, but I haven't checked in on that one. But some of those ballparks are kind of fun. You know, it's not very expensive to go watch a game, and you might be able to catch a star every now and then that's going to arrive at the major league level down the road. So Pete's looking it up for me as soon as I said it.
yeah, of course he is.
Kannapolis Intimidators. That's what they're called.
You know, actually, with the announcement of the minor league affiliates, one of the people hardest hit is actually my son, because Kane County has lost their affiliation with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and so the boy and I won't be able to hop on the train and head out to Geneva in order to catch baseball games. Now, Geneva did say that they're hoping to catch on with one of the the affiliate leagues or something like that that baseball is looking to set up, kind of like the G League that the NBA has. But at least for the short term, I kind of don't want to tell him. And Ron, good news: the Kannapolis Cannonballers.
Cannonballers? They changed their name?
Cannonballers.
Wow.
Cannonballers are staying with the White Sox.
Great. So the closest baseball
so
I have is
not only will you
both,
have the Knights, but and the Dash, you'll also have the Cannonballers.
Who's the Dash? Hang on. Who's the Dash?
That's Winston-Salem.
Yeah, I'm not going there to watch a game.
That's a little far.
Yeah, that's too far for a minor league game. I mean, I want to drive like 40 minutes tops. Okay, so it's a shame that, you know, there's quite a few organizations that are no longer affiliated with Major League Baseball. They're not minor league towns anymore, so that's a shame for them. But hopefully they can bounce back with an indie league or something else. Maybe I don't know. Maybe someday those old corn belters there in Bloomington, Elliott can.
Absolutely.
Are they even Bloomington or are they Normal? I mean, whatever
Normal.
What a name for a town in 2020. Normal, Illinois.
Well, it was now. Come on, Ron. As a graduate of Illinois State University, you know that the town is named after the university, because originally it was Illinois State Normal University because it was a teaching university, and a normal university is a university that educates teachers on how to teach.
Oh, well, okay. Well,
you did not know that?
I did not. How the hell would I know that? Why would I know that? That's not one of those civic things they teach you when you enroll at Illinois State. They wanted your money. They wanted to pump through your courses, and that's it. I'm not going to go into
48. Were you not paying attention? They absolutely taught that at Illinois State.
We didn't make it to that first day of class.
Hold on, I'm moving my 48.
The only time they taught that was during syllabus day.
Here we go.
So listen, one final thing, and then we can wrap up the affiliates talk, unless you guys have any more. I do have to say, little sad to see Eugene go, not only because they won 2 championships during their affiliation with the Cubs, but also, as you guys know, I did live in Eugene, Oregon for 2 years, and it's a well-run organization. Caught a couple games out there when they were affiliated with the Padres. I got to see the shortstop of the future, the next Ozzie Smith, as he was touted, who eventually ended up playing for the Cardinals for a brief period of time, Khalil Green. And I remember sitting in the stands watching him play that summer after he got drafted by the Padres and thinking, this guy is going to be the next Ozzie Smith, please. And for once, at least, my not a scout eye proved 100% correct, because he ended up being a flop. Anyway, thank you, Eugene Emeralds, for all the fun. Moving on. Look, let's get to the best part of baseball talk this week. Because there's not much. There have been a couple of trades with the winter Zoom meetings. And I know that Elliot's looking forward to talking about this one too. But apparently last year, before the season started, the Cardinals approached Yadier Molina with a 2-year, $20 million extension offer, and Yadi rejected it. And now Mark Saxon is reporting at The Athletic that they've come back to him, and while we don't know the details, Yadi terms the Cards offer ridiculous. And I just have to say, guys, look, one of 2 things is either going to happen. Because we know how sensitive Yadi's ego is. Either he's going to walk.
That was dark.
Oh, come on, please.
When I read this article, I pictured Yadier Molina walking across the bridge into East St. Louis and tossing a match on the bridge that he was walking across and not even looking back. That was my thought.
Oh, see, I saw him walking across the bridge into East St. Louis in order to murder a hooker and then drop her off.
Oh, come on. Come on.
No, but so here are the two possible outcomes that I see coming out of this. One, the Cardinals continue to lowball Yadi and he walks and he signs with another team. Or 2, he backs the Cardinals into a corner and they way overpay for a 37-year-old backup catcher. Best backup catcher in baseball, but a 37-year-old backup catcher, regardless of the circumstance. Pass me the popcorn.
That's cheese popcorn.
It's still popcorn.
It's still popcorn.
I like cheese popcorn, by the way. Why is it so expensive?
You want to talk about Yadi?
Yeah, that's fine. You guys know how I feel about this. It's kind of retreading territory I've already went across. Look, this is his very first time into free agency. And, look, he's a proud guy, and I don't know what you want me to say, Pete. I would hate to see him in another uniform. I'm split because at the same time, I want to see the younger guy who's in waiting get his opportunity, get his chance. So part of me is like, boy, I want to see this guy finish out his career in St. Louis, get his statue, get his number retired. It'd be great because rarely do we get to see one player start and finish their career with one organization. It just doesn't happen very often. The other side of me says, maybe it is time to move. Maybe it is time to move on. Maybe it is time to get new faces up and down this organization and move forward. It's not that we can't move forward with Yadi there for another year or two. It's not that we can't move forward with Adam Wainwright there for another year. It's kind of, I hate to see this though, really about the kind of the bickering, the lowballing, or not going back and forth. But look, I'm prepared internally to move on from it. If that's what happens, it's going to be tough to see Yadi in another uniform, but it's got to, we got to turn the page at some point in time. He's not ready to yet. I think it's 50-50 among Cardinal fans if they're ready to turn the page or not. The organization's going to do whatever they think is best. Sometimes I trust their judgment. Other times I question it, just like you guys do. I'm no different. The sentimental side of me, the real fan side of me is like, gosh, I think he still adds value. I should just do a single show here that just, the intangible tangibles, the things the stat guys can't reconcile in their brain, because it's not on Fangraphs. There's so much that these guys bring, and you guys know the same thing. You have players like that too, that they bring things to the table that you just can't, there's no spin rate on that, guys. There's no launch angle. There's no exit velocity. There's no OPS plus or runs created plus. It's a thing that these players provide. That is this saddest way I've ever seen anybody eat popcorn, between two fingers. Nobody ever does that. As men, we stuff as much in our mouth per hand grab as possible, and that's just how we do it, Pete. So
well, that's because I'm savoring this popcorn. It tastes delicious.
Yeah, sure it does.
Number 48, do you believe that he is worth the 1 year, $10 million with an option for 2022?
Yes. However, I'm going to put the caveat on this one. Yes, I do. If this is a normal year, absolutely it is. Right? Now, I would like for him to agree to take the split time. I'm not saying 50-50. Maybe I'm saying 60-40 or 70-30.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I know. It's Yachty, right?
Especially if there are incentives in that second year.
Well, let's forget the incentives things, because the question was 1 year, $10 million. Like in a non-COVID year, when you know, yes, I know, but when you know that you're certain, like the Cardinals can kind of bank on their ticket revenue year over year. They can't do that in 21. A lot of other teams can't do that in 21. Some other teams can absorb it better than others. And ultimately, we really don't know what these teams make or what they don't. I want to see him back. I do. The fan in me wants to see him back. But I'm okay. I'm okay if it doesn't work out. I'm not going to be sitting here crying. He's still going to get his statue. He's still going to get his red jacket. He's still going to get his number retired. If not a first ballot Hall of Famer, he's going to be a second, third, or fourth year Hall of Famer, depending on who you are, right? So, look, there's not a lot of. I'm not going to lose any sleep one way or the other. This is a little bit different than when Albert left. When Albert left, he was at the top of the planet, top of the world, right? I mean, he was the best pure hitter in baseball at that time. That was different. That was looking at the Stan Musial equivalent of our generation, potentially. Of course, that didn't happen.
And then apparently he died when he moved to Los Angeles.
He had, something, but it's a different feeling right now. So anyway, hey, CJ's lurking about. So is Greg. Greg's back here. So that's where I'm at on that, guys. I know that's a very long answer, but
I got Amazon. No, just kidding, bud.
Very long answer, but look, I'm fine one way or the other. And you can remove that piece of popcorn from top of that mic. That's probably not safe. Oh, boy.
And either way, here's what you do know. Mm-hmm. Based on the Reds' moves the last week, even if the Cardinals don't bring Yachty back, they're still going to be in contention to win the Central, because the Central this year is going to be
sucks. Oh my God, it's so bad.
Oh my God, it's going to be awful.
You know what? And a lot of people are speculating on this. Elliot, I don't know what the hell's going on to your green screen, but I like it. It feels like I'm doing shrooms. But
kind of feels like Elliot's disintegrating.
It does.
I am. Did somebody go back to the future?
And truth be told, everyone that's watching this, we actually didn't know if he would show up tonight, but he did, and we're pleasantly surprised and pleased. But here he is. We didn't know, but of course he logs in right at 10.
Special guest, Elliot.
Special guest that knows I need time to set cameras up, but we'll log in just in time.
You weren't waiting on me. I'm sorry.
No, tonight you're right, but still, it doesn't take away from the fact that you showed up just in time. You're the just in time inventory guy.
Just finishing up the Game Awards. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hey,
fine,
can you give, you know what? You should give Elliot a new name. I mean, since you're number 48, he should be Jit.
Just in time inventory.
Yep. Just Jit. Just in time.
I like that.
Jit. J-I-T. Jit.
Just in time. We'll just leave it at that. Just in time.
Oh, that's his name. Justin Time.
Yeah.
Justin. There you go.
Okay.
So sitting third chair with us tonight, Justin Time.
Jorge Colon, an old Marine Corps vet. I was in with Jorge Colon. I remember. I don't want to tell this story on here. I don't want to tell the story on here. But glad to see him on here. I really do, but I'm not going to do it tonight because I know we got a lot of stuff to get to. But I'm glad to see his name pop up. Listen, look, there is stuff to talk about in the baseball world. We can't spend the whole night talking about that. We know we were delayed getting out here. We do apologize for that, but it's that shitty Chicago internet affecting Pete up there. We don't have that problem in the rest of the country. I don't know what Chicago's problem is. Because Sandwich is fine, right?
We're good.
Well, except for his green dissolving head.
Nothing to do with my internet.
No, nothing to do with your internet.
Sure.
I was going to give us a nice couple-minute break so we could break to the other talk, but I can't do that now. I want to keep plowing through this. But unless you guys have anything else to add to baseball, of course, there are thoughts around the whole free agency pool now. Who's looking at who's looking at what? The Nolan Arenado thing is popping up again. That the Rockies are kind of between, no pun intended, they're between a rock and a hard place on shedding payroll. They only have a couple options. He's one of them. Nobody's going to take Charlie Blackmon. Nobody's going to take Ian Desmond. So like he's the one thing they can move that a team can kind of at least bank on some value coming back in return. But God, if you're the Rockies, you're not in a position right now where you can demand a bunch of minor league talent. If you want a team to, if their goal is to shed payroll, teams know that. They're not stupid. They're not going to be able to demand your top 2 prospects in return.
And with word getting out that Francisco Lindor is definitely on the market, and today it was put out there that he's looking to sign an extension this year. He doesn't want to be a free agent next year.
Well, he's seen what's happened to a lot of these guys, right?
Yeah.
So that's motivation. So I would imagine that's holding up any kind of market for Arenado, because who would you rather have? You know, a Gold Glove third baseman who had a little bit of a down 2020, or an all-world shortstop? I mean, you know, all things being equal, you want that shortstop because they're probably going to have a longer career and they're going to be more versatile. And with Lindor indicating that he wants to sign an extension wherever he's traded, a la Mookie Betts, that's far more attractive option.
Sure. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Arenado.
And don't even mention it, Cardinals fans. I don't think they're in on that deal whatsoever.
No.
Didn't Blackmon already get moved? No, he didn't. I don't think the Rockies are going to be able to move him. He was a nice player for a while, but I just don't think the value's there for what they extended him to. I don't think teams are going to be absorbing that one anytime soon. And when you talk about the year of 2020, there were several good players that had a down year. You guys had one of them at your shortstop. You know, Javi Baez had a terrible year. But the thing is, you look at that 60
our
game.
entire core felt like they had a down year.
Yeah,
I mean between Bryant, Contreras was the only one that hovered around that average for the year. Rizzo was down. There was too many. I think that's why we ended up where we ended up.
Yeah, I agree.
I tell you what, if I was a general manager, I would jump on some of these guys who had down 2020s. Just take that opportunity at a buy low opportunity. Whether it's signing as a free agent or making a trade. Take a chance on somebody like, obviously Baez probably isn't on the trade block, but still take a chance on somebody like that, or like Arenado, right? That they're going to bounce back, and that you're going to be able to get them for far less than you would have 12 months ago.
Yeah.
Roll the dice, especially this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. I said that before, like something similar, right? In an uncertain off season where you're not sure what's coming in 2021, you're not sure how long of a season you'll have. You're not sure when you're going to start. You got a big, huge revenue question. And, look, again, there are some big boy teams here that can weather the storm better than others. That's pretty obvious, right? And so when you have an off season like this, it's got to be just hugely difficult for a lot of those teams. There's some teams that just can't buy their way out of mistakes. Not everybody has pockets like the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Red Sox that, hey, if you have some shitty signings, you can usually throw money at it and get rid of it. There's just some other teams that just can't afford to do it. And when you face an off season like this, it's no wonder that a lot of teams are just kind of sitting back and going, well, I'm going to stick with what I got unless something just pops up that's just too tempting to pass up, or too much of a value to pass up. And then you've got, but the other side of me goes, Pete, to your point, if you're a GM and your organization you feel is relatively stable, maybe your outlook on the 2021 season is favorable to where you're going to have somewhat of a normal year. Your attendance is going to be down, no doubt, but you're thinking out 4 or 5 years, you might zig while everybody else zags, and all these guys that are available right now, I'm going to grab 2 or 3 of them. F it. Owners behind me. We're gonna prep ourselves for a good 4 or 5 year window here, and we're just gonna go ahead and pull the trigger. But boy, how hard is it to evaluate players like Marcell Ozuna, who just tore the cover off the ball in 2020? You don't know which one you're going to get, because I tell you what, the guys I've heard that argue that lineup around you doesn't matter, it's your own performance. Complete hogwash horse shit. I've played baseball before. It does matter who's batting around you. It does fucking matter. Pitchers pitch you different depending on who's behind you, who's in front of you, and who's on base. When you're in a shitty lineup, I'm not saying it's all the Cardinals lineup around him. That's the problem. That was the problem when he was with St. Louis. Let's face it, he's in the middle of a much different lineup in Atlanta than he was in St. Louis. Let's get real about it. It does matter who's batting around you. It does matter what your role is in the lineup. When you're not asked to be a goddamn superstar or protect somebody, you go somewhere else where actually people are competent and can get on base and can hit behind you and can put down a goddamn bunt and can beat the shift every once in a while, can move a runner over. That's a different lineup than the one you were just in.
Unless baseball has been very, very good to you.
Well, it's hard. It's hard though. Like, what are you going to get out of him? He was in a walk year. Probably very motivated, in a better lineup, in a better situation, offensively.
Yep.
And so it's really like, how much money you're going to throw at that guy? He's 30 right now. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see who signs him. He's definitely a top 5 offensive free agent target. I'm guessing for quite a few clubs. I'm just wondering how many of them might be looking at him as DH. And speaking of DH, so the word is right, like National League is probably not going to be in the DH this year. It's gonna be, why not? Why not just do it?
Who knew? There's been no definitive answer on this, and I think it's got to be one of the big reasons why you've seen lack of movement in the NL. I mean, they don't know if they're going to have it this year.
Yeah, well, it's so stupid. I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of things I don't know, and I haven't thought like every goddamn detail through because it's not my job. I have a job during the day, a regular one. And so I don't understand how in a time like this where you've got a lot of DH candidates that are sitting out there on free agency, why the MLBPA doesn't be like, let's just do, and they can, right? It's not a firm decision, but the teams have been told to prepare as though the National League will not have a DH. And I don't understand that. You've got a guy like Kyle Schwarber and Marcell Ozuna on the market right now. Unless there's an AL suitor, you've just eliminated half of their landing places. Why wouldn't the MLBPA want this year? Unless they're holding it as a trade chip for next year's CBA, great. Don't you have enough other stuff to fight about next year? Why does this have to be a trade chip? Like, I don't know. I don't know why they just don't do it right now. It's just stupid.
Why would the Players Association though be holding the DH as a trade chip?
I don't know.
Something they want.
Or Major League Baseball might be. I don't know. It's probably more Major League Baseball.
I have to imagine it's MLB.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right.
Holding it up.
You're right. I had that completely backwards. You're right. It just, I don't know. It should be there now because we all know it's coming. We're not stupid. Just do it now. You had it last year. Under duress, it worked fine. Nobody cared. Even old National League fans like me who like that style of play, who would prefer to keep it. If it's going to happen, just do it.
Yep.
All right. That's baseball.
Baseball fans, we're done. Thank you. We're going to give you a nice clean clip here, Ron, so that you can cut it for our new partners, the Gateway City Sports Group of Guys affiliation online. I'm sure I got that right, didn't I? Number 48.
Got it. You nailed it, man.
They'll be very happy with that promo. Gateway City Sports Group of Guys. You can call me to do promo reads anytime for any of the other shows.
It's a fantastic job.
Number 48 has my number.
Yep.
When we're not live on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope, and affiliated with the Gateway Sports Group of Guys, you can find us anywhere and everywhere. Our website is teamarivalspodcast.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Team Arrivals Podcast and on Facebook at Team Arrivals Podcast, or you can find us on Twitter at Team Arrivals Pod. Send us an email at the show at teamarivalspodcast.com. You can find Elliot on Twitter at
TOR_Elliot.
You can find number 48 at
TOR_Ron75. Might be changing to 48. So
you're gonna have to change that every year. You keep moving up the rankings.
That's right.
You won't find me on Twitter, so don't waste your time searching. If you are watching us live, remember you can also catch us anywhere you listen to podcasts, because everybody likes to re-listen to a show that they just watched the night before. We're on Apple Podcasts or let's go Player.fm this week. And if you do love the show, please remember to subscribe. Click the notification buttons. Subscribe on the podcast app. Subscribe anywhere you watch it. Bump up those numbers. Leave a rating. Leave a review. Get us in the zeitgeist so that maybe we can charge you some money for this. Or maybe we'll just start charging you money anyway. Who knows?
I might just do it anyway. Hey, baseball fans, we're sorry. We're going to switch to another topic, but we are going to take a 2-minute pause here, and we'll be right back. But we are going to talk about another passion that all three of us share. Me and Pete is the co-host of the show, our special guest that's on tonight. We all have the same passion. We're going to get into that here in just a couple minutes, but we're going to take a brief pause. So please, if you like a certain galaxy far, far away genre, there was a lot of news that just exploded today. We're going to go through all of it. We're going to go through it as quick as possible since Pete delayed us by about 22 minutes. That's fine. We're going to hit that up real quick, but we'll be right back. We love you all so much.
And if number 48 isn't being direct enough for you, we're about to talk porn.
Our Pornhub subscriptions have all renewed automatically on the company credit card.
No, they haven't, because apparently MasterCard and Visa are going to break their affiliations.
Ah, that sucks. All right.
We're going to all have to go Bitcoin, boys.
Let's put it on my wife's. All right. All right. We'll be right back, folks. That wasn't supposed to be played on time. All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the second half of our show. I know this is kind of awkward, but we've exited the baseball talk. So if you're still hanging around, that's fine. We'd love to have you, but we're going to talk about another passion we all have, and we do this for our own entertainment. But if you are a fan at all of the Star Wars genre, gosh, a bunch of news was dumped on us today. We had a
Yeah.
Okay, this is just getting out of control. We had an episode of The Mandalorian last week that we haven't even really been able to talk about yet. So it's all fresh. I mean, there's so much to get through. I don't know which to start with, but I think we might want to start with the big news. And a strange thing that happened while we were paused here, I didn't even see my phone. By the way, my son is on the phone because he wants to get a word in on this stuff. He might fall asleep during it, like he did that one time. If you recall, he was actually on.
He wants to get a word in, or he wants to allow us to get a word in.
Well, that's the thing, and that's why he's on mute right now. He forgets that his dad does have a mute button, and it does work, and I know how to use it. But anyway, the strange thing is we did get a voicemail while I was on the break. I didn't see it. I want to play that right now before we get into Star Wars talk. And so just
Bob Iger?
maybe, I don't know. I'm not really sure if I'm familiar with this guy, but hang on a second.
Hey guys, this is George. It's calling not to talk about what you guys are talking about tonight, because god damn, every time Melanie sends me out to the Walgreens, every swinging dick wants to ask me about Star Wars, and I know today was a big day. There's like 8,000-10,000 series they're gonna do. You know, mostly they were my ideas. Again, still I'm calling. I was thinking about buying one of those sports teams, those sports clubs you guys are always talking about. You know, we've talked about that too. You know, before I even did the first act, I was talking about buying one of those sports clubs. And hell, I got so much money now. I don't even need to sell tickets. Why even sell tickets at this point? It's all streaming, right, Disney? So it's all streaming. So we won't even have fans in my team. We'll just have little cameras just in position in every seat, and you could just buy a streaming right to an angle. You know, it'd be like you're there with your buddies. You know, Christ, you guys are all staring at your phones anyway. You don't even watch the game. But you can do all the seats in green and just project, you know, astromech droids or Gungans or whatever. whatever will piss everybody off and get everybody all worked up. But yeah, so it's an idea. I was just curious, you know, is there a club that you guys are aware of for sale? I'd like to hang on a second. All right. That's how dignified I think your show is. So if you guys have a suggestion, I'll just be here just counting my money.
All right, that wasn't very kind. Whoever that George guy was taking a dump, leaving us.
Not entirely inaccurate, however.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. So friendly. I don't know if there are any baseball teams for sale. The Mets were just purchased, so I don't think I have good news for George right now. But the good news is, you know, every 4 or 5 years at least a club comes up. So if if that ticker is still going, there's hopeful. And I would suggest for George,
an expansion on the horizon.
Yeah, expansion on the horizon. I've always liked Nashville. You know, he could do that, or you know, he could. Imagine the Nashville Gungans, right? I mean, that would set people ablaze.
Or maybe the Lucasians.
Yeah, or the Genosians or something like that. I mean, just a character that nobody likes would be ideal. Okay, you know, we got some serious stuff to get into, and I will unmute at this point now, as long as he's not like making a lot of noise, or you know, like we hear like PS5 controller chittering away. Braden, are you there? Can you hear us?
He fell asleep.
He probably, if he did again, that's amazing. No, he's on.
I was looking forward to a 2021 MLB The Show update.
He's probably not even. Well, he got his PS5. He scored his
simulations in, right?
He coming out on Xbox this year.
Well, he scored his. Is it really? Is it really? That's great. That's one of the things. He scored his PS5. He's got it.
Congratulations! You're one of the few.
One of the rare kids. All right, so maybe he'll show back up on here. I see that he's on right now, but maybe I got to hit unmute on my phone. Braden.
Oh,
Braden, B.
Yep.
You didn't hear any
Is
of
it
that,
my
did you? 'Cause
segment?
I had my side on mute. Sorry. Yeah, I already played it.
Do you hear that?
You missed
My segment.
it. That's what he asked me. He's like, "Hey,
Not am I on?
He goes.
My segment.
He goes. Text me when it's my segment." I'm like, okay. So today was the big it was investors meeting for Disney. It's a big deal. They usually announce appease investors, give them confidence in their money. They're going to be well spent and they're going to get a big return. They announced a lot of stuff today. I can't possibly go through everything Disney did. We're just going to have to focus on the part that we're all interested in, and that would be 10 new series over the next several years for Star Wars. That's a big number, right? When you hear about it, it's like, shit, that's huge. How are they going to support 10 series? Are some of them going to end? Or are going to be mini series? I imagine a lot of them are going to be kind of short runs, like the Kenobi series we've heard of. But anyway, guys, I don't know what your thoughts or just your impressions of what all was talked about. So I know you guys saw the link.
What to do?
It's not 10 series because Rogue Squadron is going to be a film. That's going to be the next live action film.
10 things. Sorry, I'll just say 10 things. But yes. Still, 9 series is a lot, man. A lot of stuff.
Well, it's 10 Star Wars, but it's also 10 Marvel. So it's 20 altogether when you look at it. And when you look at Netflix, and there's a lot of people that I talk to that just they've got Netflix, they continue paying for it because there's continuous stuff that comes out. And there's a lot of stuff that, hey, I'd never heard of it, but I heard it was really good, so I'm going to watch it. And that's why they keep their Netflix series. There's a lot of people that I talked to that got rid of their Disney Plus account when The Mandalorian ended next year and then just started it up again once The Mandalorian came back.
Right.
And I think that is reflected. I think Disney sees that they lost a lot of subscribers when The Mandalorian left and now have seen a lot of those subscribers return.
Yeah.
And they needed to add a lot more new content. I mean, if it wasn't for this pandemic, Mulan would have just been in the theaters and we probably wouldn't have seen it until next year coming to the streaming service. So, which that was a total flop, but also I think they're kind of being forced to add a whole bunch of stuff because of the announcements of HBO Max, which announced that their entire 2021 theater releases will coincide on HBO Max for 30 days, starting with Wonder Woman 84 in December.
Well, they got the whole DC deal, right?
Right.
So that's the competing faction there. And as far as Netflix goes, I'll give Netflix some credit. Even with Disney Plus coming online, they still have a lot of good original content.
They do.
They really do. A lot of shows, even a show like The Crown, that's a little slower in moving and it's historical and everything else. It's still an entertaining thing to watch. But let's move on to what was revealed today, at least. And so we've got, I've got to get a shot set up, guys. So Pete, provide me with some air cover here, like.
Sure. So here's the full release notes, and it's not just Disney or not just Star Wars. 10 Marvel series, 10 Star Wars series, 15 Disney and Pixar series, and 15 Disney Pixar features. So they're definitely pushing in on the kid-friendly content, but they're also going to include Planet of the Apes, Die Hard, Modern Family, Family Guy, Logan, Legion. Those are all going to be there, and they're going to create parental cover options so that parents can lock that stuff out for their kids.
Yep.
So that it'll be accessible and they'll be able to provide all of the content that they have. They're also talking about an Alien series on FX, working with Ridley Scott. You would imagine if they're announcing that's going to be available through Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And a remake of Shogun. And then also, apparently there's going to be another show featuring Rosario Dawson called Dope Sick.
Yeah, I found that interesting. I found that interesting that so you would think that they've got the actress for the one, but yeah, there's obviously a lot of other news with this Disney Plus thing. So streaming is, if you had any doubt that streaming was the way forward, you were wrong. The first thing I want to talk about is I think one that we obviously expected, and that would be the Ahsoka series. That one is no surprise. She was introduced in The Mandalorian, a wildly popular, wildly successful streaming show we heard the rumors for years now that Rosario Dawson would be playing this character. Obviously, she did a wonderful job. We covered that already. Looked the part. Didn't sound exactly like Ashley Eckstein, but she is an older version of Ahsoka, a little older. And so this is no surprise. I'm looking really forward to this. This is a character that I think we talked about how she's so evolved in amongst Star Wars fandom that despised by people of our age in the beginning, because what the hell Padawan talks like that to a master, to being sad when she walked away from the Order, to being gleeful when she arrived back at Rebels, and then we got to see the closeout of the Clone Wars as well, and to see her back in Mandalorian, we're all thrilled to do it. So this is one of the top 3 that I'm looking forward to out of the list we're about to go through. This might even be the most, because I think this is a fascinating character, and as much as I don't want her story arc to end, I am curious as to how it ends, because obviously she's not there in the sequel trilogy. So, not that I think any of those directors or the direction or anybody who was over that gave a shit, but she's not there. So her story ends before that. And I'm curious to see how it wraps up.
We don't know necessarily know that it ends.
Yeah.
We don't.
Because we've seen again and again that her story hasn't ended, and there's no reason necessarily to think that she would be a part of the sequel trilogy, because she's not a Jedi. So she's clearly gone off and made her own life. So I'm not entirely surprised that I wouldn't be surprised to see Ahsoka, although they're saying that I guess Ahsoka is going to take place during the same timeline as the Mandalorian. So
yeah,
I don't know that that's necessarily going to give us any kind of.
It might not give us closure to it. No, it might not. You're right. It might not close the story out. I guess my point was, none of those directors or storytellers in the sequel trilogy gave any shit about this other stuff. Is my point. Like they wouldn't have brought that they wouldn't have connected that dot at all or cared to. So, her story could very well go well beyond where the sequel trilogy is, but that remains to be seen. This is a series that I think like my character. I want to point out something to you guys though. If you zoom into this graphic here, this logo, and I'm going to put it up here.
Ron's going to get nerdy.
No, just looking at it, guys. What does this remind you of? I'll give you a hint.
Give me my credit too.
Yeah.
Hey, this is not your part yet. You shut your mouth.
Well,
This is not your segment.
This is not your segment, Cody. I'll put you on mute. I swear to God. What does this remind you of?
It's the world between worlds.
And it reminds me so much of that. And the other thing that Braden pointed out when I talked to him, we got a question. We got the question mark. It finally happened. Pete has been jettisoned from the feed. We will get him back in.
No. He'll get back in.
He'll get back in. I really wanted him to see this part too. Damn it. Elliot, give you your thoughts on this. I mean, did you see that?
Yeah. So this, like, all of this stuff started releasing, so I was trying to pay attention to this and my stupid video game nerd stuff too. But yeah, I kind of noticed it, and it did remind me of it a little bit. So I'm wondering if this is where Dave Filoni can kind of take that world between worlds story arc and kind of go with it. And I'm hoping that this goes into the Ezra Bridger Thrawn kind of story arc.
He's gone again. We're gonna have to be.
There he is.
There he is. He's there. Hey, you know what? I'm sorry to laugh.
Audio viewers, he is going in and out.
I am sorry to laugh, but it is funny, and I almost just want to show this shot, Elliot, because this is actually the funniest one to show.
It's appropriate.
It is.
It's appropriate for this evening.
Yeah, I know. So I will work on Pete's feed here, Elliot. Go ahead and finish your point and take your time.
No, I mean, I kind of finished, but yeah, I mean, just
no, keep
saying
going.
That like I'm looking forward to where this is going. I have a feeling that the Mandalorian kind of teaser of what Ahsoka is doing is going to take it into her show. So it's going to take that story arc of her tracking down Thrawn, hopefully finding Ezra Bridger. We may not see the Sabine Wren live action until that show kicks off. They may bring her in at some point in The Mandalorian, but I would see them kind of waiting and bringing that in the Ahsoka show. So, and the thing that when I saw all of this, my first thought was Disney finally sees that trust in Dave Filoni that we have all seen over these last years.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's going to be a busy man.
Yes.
Because you have to assume that he's going to be EPing
all of it.
At the very least, EPing Bad Batch, if not show running.
Mm-hmm.
He'll definitely be show running Ahsoka. You got to think that he's going to be involved in the other animation series to some degree, because they also
they do, Pete. I totally agree. And but the only thing that I don't know is, are they going to let Filoni take over the Kenobi show that they have announced?
I don't think he noticed. I don't think you noticed, Elliot. He dropped out again. We're just going to keep plowing forward.
No, I noticed. I just kept going on it.
Yeah, good on you.
He noticed.
And yeah. So hold on, I'm on the wrong shot here. Here we go. So we need to move on. There's this other one.
I have to imagine that the thing that you're most excited about is the announcement of an upcoming series, Star Wars: A Droid Story. Now, ostensibly,
I don't want to go
about
there yet.
C-3PO and R2-D2, but
Dave
Filoni has
give me
anything
my
to do
shout
with
out.
it.
Oh, I thought I had you on
This is going to
mute.
be the live-action adaptation of A Sunny Day in the Void, and it's going to be a whole season long. And it's going to be dedicated to number 48.
I know. I don't know why the 48 is still there. I've totally lost control of this. Braden, you were saying something. Not that I want you to say anything more right now.
Are we gonna mention what I caught in the?
Yes. Because Pete did duck out. So guys, give me a brief second here. I'm going to bring this. I'm sorry, wrong one. This Ahsoka graphic back up. Now Braden pointed this out when I was talking to him earlier. Before we even all got online tonight, and he's like, "Hey, you notice those outer rings?" I'm like, "Yeah. What about them?" And he's like, "Hey, look at this." And so I'm like, "Whoa, okay, that's kind of interesting." If you look at, I can't match up symbols perfectly here, but he's kind of right? Like, well, the Star Wars thing, in the whatever language they use there, whatever the symbols are. I mean, he's kind of has a point here. This we already talked about this, right? How if you look closely, we've all seen this. And like, this is strangely resembles the world between worlds. He was talking about the outer rings, and then he talked about this. I'm like, oh man, you're kind of right. Like that's strangely familiar. And this is all a Filoni thing, right, guys? If he's not if this is random directors and they're just passing the baton from one to the other, I don't put much stock into this. This is still a Dave Filoni thing, and he is still in control of this series. So there's something to this. There's a story to be told, I think, that's sitting out there. Braden identified that tonight and pointed it out. And so I think that's a really interesting take. What do you guys think?
That's a good catch. It's a very good catch.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know what it means yet. I don't think he knows what it means yet, although he'll probably claim he does. What are you laughing at?
Because you're not wrong, but
yeah, I know I'm not wrong. But yeah, I mean, it was a good catch on his part. I mean, he pointed that out right away. I was all fascinated on the world between worlds. I'm like, oh, well, how's that going to play into what Ahsoka's ultimately going to do?
Right.
But he pointed out the rings. So I think it's a really, really good find, really good eye there, B. I'll give you credit for that.
I honestly, with the world between worlds, everyone's, she's trying to find Ezra and whatnot. I could see her, going between the world between worlds and snatching Ezra or something like she did or what like Ezra did for her against Vader. I mean, that's a possibility.
Yeah, no, it very well could happen. We got to keep moving through this list, though, guys. We haven't even gotten off the first one yet. Pete, you didn't bring this one up. You jumped several spaces ahead in the game board we're playing tonight. You weren't supposed to do that. This is an interesting one because this is a Filoni and Favreau thing too. This is the Rangers of the Republic. Didn't give a lot of description about this one, but it takes place during the same time period as The Mandalorian. Thoughts? Anything, guys?
I have no thoughts because I have no insight into what it's supposed to be.
This is going to be about Dave Filoni's character as a pilot, and
oh God, I hope not. What was his line on that one when Mando like,
"We got a runner.
You got a runner. You should probably try to get him." I mean, I hope.
Hey, he also had. Hey, they're launching a gunship.
When was that one?
That was at the end of The Prisoner.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. He was one of the pilots that was coming. Yeah. They're launching a gunship. We should probably try to get something, take them out. Yeah, I hope Elliot, I trust that you're wrong, and you often are. So I hope this doesn't pan out. But yeah, I know nothing about this either. My suspicion is this might be the very fringe start of the Resistance that takes place maybe about the same time period that Mandalorian exists, because the breadcrumb Jesus Christ, the breadcrumb trail is started.
Love that.
It's about like Bob's anyway.
Connection.
Yeah, right. I think we start to see the very first pieces of the Palpatine resurrection puzzle start to show up. But my suspicion is that's the Mandalorian. That's what Gideon's task is to restore the Emperor. That's why he needs a child. I could be dead wrong. Could be for a whole different reason. I think they're trying to tie some thread into that mess of the sequel trilogy. So I think that may be a path it could take. Likely wrong. Hopefully wrong. But you look at this, I think this may be the start of the Resistance. Just my guess, just my hunch. On to the next. I found this next one very curious. Andor. We all knew this Cassian Andor series was going to be a thing. We had heard it, at least rumors at times, where it was going to be Diego Luna returning with as his character Cassian Andor, name of the show, with K2SO. What I found very interesting was the cast of this did not mention Diego Luna. It was
but if you look on the sizzle reel, he's all over the sizzle reel.
He is.
He's in it.
He's hopefully. I mean, wouldn't that be a?
Well, it'd be ridiculous to have a sizzle reel starring somebody who's not starring in it. I think that it's just the website you were referring to. It was an editorial oversight because they just kind of assumed that he was there and they didn't.
That was kind of my thoughts.
They weren't careful in adding him because the same thing jumped out to me and I was like, that can't be possible.
Yeah, you would assume he's in it, and so I'm going to assume he is. I think it was a mistake too, but if not, like, why the hell would you do this series if you don't have him returning?
Right,
wouldn't make any sense to me. Look, guys, I'm not that amped up about this series. I loved the character. I loved K2SO in Rogue One, but I loved Rogue One for what it was, and I'm fine leaving it where it was. I don't need a precursor to Rogue One. I don't know how you guys feel. Braden, how do you feel? We'll give you a segment right now.
Honestly, I think if you like Rogue One, I think most people would like the Cassian Andor series. I just, since Rogue One's already over, he already died, yada yada yada. I just don't think a lot of people are very excited because, there's not off the top of their head, nobody's really thinking about anything they're excited for.
All right, Pete, what do you think?
If it's a limited series, I'm fine with it, but I can't imagine that there's a whole lot to mine there for a multi-season series. It seems to me that, if you look at this list, it seems like that's going to be the approach going forward. I'm sorry, did I interrupt, Braden? I beg your pardon. Please go ahead.
They said something about 12 episodes, which I was assuming would have been the whole series. That's what I take away, at least. I'm guessing.
So basically,
it's
making my
12.
point.
Yes, he finished your point. You were taking too long. He thought he would short circuit it and just get to get to the meat of it. Elliot, your thoughts on casting?
As long as Alan Tudyk is playing K2SO, I'm good.
Okay, very very direct, very quick. Braden, hold on. I heard you doing the Uncle Buck thing. Like, go ahead.
What? I mean, I've seen Uncle Buck, but I didn't do anything.
No, when he's talking to his girlfriend on the phone, she won't let him get a word, and he's like, okay,
Oh,
never
I
mind.
know, but no, no, but honestly, I think if you like Bird One, I think people will enjoy the series. I'm not like super excited for it, but
I'm not either.
I'm sure it'll be good.
I'm not either, but I do like the actor. I do like the characters. They're really good. And so maybe it'll surprise me. Guys, I had low expectations for Rogue One and was completely blown away. I think because my expectations were right, where they weren't high. Like, none of us needed to know. Like, before Rogue One happened, guys, we were okay with the scroll on A New Hope that spies had stolen the plans. Like, we weren't craving the way they stole it. Like, so a part of us was okay with leaving that up to our imagination how they were stolen, right? But they told that story. They chose to fill in that gap. I thought they did it really well. I enjoy that movie. Others I just don't need. Like, I didn't necessarily need Solo, but I kind of enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I still think I would have been fine without it, but it wasn't bad. I don't really need a casting and/or origin. I don't know. Just my thoughts. Next thing up, Obi-Wan. This is one we can all universally agree on. Seeing Ewan McGregor back, reprising a role that he did really well. He was one of the highlights of the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
And not just Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen returning as Darth Vader.
Yep.
Yes, I was kind of surprised to see that, but also appreciative that, this guy that took so much shit from guys our age.
I'll be interested to see who they get to direct it and what kind of a performance they can elicit from Hayden Christensen.
I'm going to kind of bring this back to
if
baseball.
George isn't there, maybe he can deliver something worthwhile.
He took
Hayden
as much
Christensen gets
shit,
to a
I
tape.
think, as Bartman did. I think he was attacked that much.
What's that?
I said I think Hayden Christensen was probably attacked as much as Bartman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I thought you said...
Yeah, except it was well-deserved. He was terrible. Now, granted, George
he
Lucas
was.
did not set him up for success, but he wasn't good.
There was a lot of cringy
Sure,
shots.
creepy stuff, like putting my back of my hand on your lower back and saying sand is coarse, but I like smooth things. Yeah, that's not... But... Like, Hayden didn't go to his camper and go, yeah, I want to say this tomorrow. Like, George gave him that script, gave him those lines, and, like, you have to say that. Like, how are you going to say that? Elliot, if I gave you those same lines, how are you going to make that sound natural and normal? Like, are you going to give it to Paul Rudd? You probably should give it to Paul Rudd or like, Ryan Phillips. They probably could have pulled it off. You give it to a young guy like that, he's gonna do what you're asking him to do because, you're sitting there looking, and he's like, I'm George Lucas. I made the most grossing movie in our lifetime. You're not going to argue. Were you going to argue with him? No. Braden, you would.
So here's the thing. Here's my thoughts on Hayden Christensen. Honestly, I think he looks like the perfect Anakin in my eyes. I mean, sure, there's some cringy lines or whatnot, but honestly, I think he gets too much hate because if you watch the Revenge of the Sith documentaries and whatnot, like the way that George Lucas told him to play Anakin and to get into that character and emotions, like
faster, more intense.
He was really dedicated and really got into that character. And honestly, I think if they would have fixed up a few choppy things here and there, I think it would have been great. And honestly, I love the prequels and I love Anakin. And I think Hayden Christensen did a good job for what he was given.
All right, so Braden's very forgiving, and I am too. And I think all of us are, except Elliot. Pretty cruel.
I mean, to this day, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars movie.
All right, so Star Wars Visions. This is a. I just lost my description of this. Star Wars Visions was. I didn't know what this was. I had no idea. It is Japanime. 10 shorts. So it's going to be a short thing. Disney's done this before with what was it? Oh gosh, I can't remember. I can't recall the name of it. It was like
Galaxy of Adventures.
Galaxy of Adventures was one of them, but it was another one called Destiny of the Force, and it was
and they've also done it with Pixar.
Yeah, it was focused on the female characters like Jen Erso, Ahsoka, and everything. So this will be a short series. Probably not. I don't know what to expect from it, but we'll all watch it. It'll try to fill in little tidbits in between here and there, and but it'll be interesting. But this counts as a series. So when I said 10 series earlier, obviously this is one that's going to be a short run. It's not going to, we're not going to, like the way I sounded earlier, we're not going to tune into Disney Plus and all of a sudden have 10 series to pick from that are all live and ongoing. Like these are going to be staggered. Some are going to be short runs. Some are going to be short series. But Visions, I don't really have an opinion on this one. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Pete, it reminded me of that Tartakovsky Clone Wars that was done prior to the Clone Wars animated theatrical release that came out in 2008, I believe.
Yeah, speaking of which, I wonder if Disney isn't going to make that move. I mean, since they own all the Star Wars content, does Tartakovsky's micro series get released on Disney Plus? What about Star Wars droids? What about the Ewoks movies? What about can we have our fingers crossed? Maybe someday.
Holiday special?
The holiday special airs. I mean,
I think
they've already they aired. They basically did it. They basically opened the door for.
They did a Lego version.
The Lego Star Wars holiday special. I mean, it's right there.
It's right there for the taking.
Clean it up. Put it out there.
I think Harrison Ford probably had a clause in his contract that, like, after 30 years,
you release it.
Every copy is burned. No, it'd be funny if it showed up on there, but like Disney probably doesn't want that anywhere near their property. I would guess the at least the original holiday series. It's cringeworthy, even to Star Wars fans. Even this whole Boba Fett segment was terrible. All of it was universally bad. I mean, it's guys. It was like we decided 30 minutes before a show to do a Star Wars thing, and that's what we would have come up with.
I wouldn't put it past us.
We could do. I mean, we've already had Kylo Ren on once.
More than once.
All right, fine. The Bad Batch.
Can't wait.
Yes.
This was very good. I think we heard about this. This is one of those that they released the animatics out, like not fully rendered, and when the Clone Wars ended, and so when they brought this back in season 7, this was a really enjoyable arc.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting group of characters, clones that just didn't fit the mold. They didn't look like the mold. Echo ended up joining him, mostly robotic. Really interesting where this is going to go, because you have to think the Bad Batch extends beyond where the Clone Wars ended. So what did these guys do? Like, were they a part of the rebellion? Did they... I don't know. The Bad Batch, I think, Pete, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this. Any member of the Bad Batch susceptible to Order 66, or are they all like so screwed up?
Okay, I got a comment on this. So
never mind.
So the trailer dropped for the Bad Batch with the whole thing.
Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting is Tarkin was like, you guys are good at like causing some trouble or whatever. And honestly, when I watched the Bad Batch in season 7 and the 2 trailers so far, they almost kind of remind me of like the Suicide Squad, like how they're like good but bad and just kind of like crazy.
How dare
causing
you?
trouble. Like I'm not comparing like that to the movie of the Suicide Squad, but when I think Suicide Squad, like it kind of reminds me of the Bad Batch. And honestly, what I think happened was Order 66, they had the chips and whatnot. And honestly, I think, like, they started to go into the Empire and whatnot, but then, like, they're starting to, like, go out of the Empire and, like, causing trouble, or maybe, like, the Empire's, like, holding them to do certain jobs or whatnot. Because, like, the way that Tarkin was just talking to them was pretty weird, especially in the trailer when Palpatine was, talking to all the clones, like, they were sitting there, like, standing and watching that. So, honestly, I think it's going to be a transition from, like, out of the Empire to slowly going to the rebellion to kind of being like a weapon for the Empire. Like, that's what I think should happen.
Yeah. And Braden, by jumping in, I think you just robbed Pete of every point he was about to make on the Bad Batch. We'll wait till he gets back. He dumped his headphones. He walked away from the microphone. I think you stole all of his thunder. You should feel shame for robbing Pete of a... Oh, wait, he's coming back. Hold on, we'll let him put his headphones... he just basically... he took, I'm guessing, Pete, like 80% of your thunder. Because he is the 15-year-old version of Greg Cody. He's opening up whiskey right now, and he's drinking.
No, that's tequila.
Oh, okay.
Tequila. Braden, why don't you give us some insight into a droid's tale?
Braden just stole all. Jesus,
I just know my stuff, I mean,
I know. You know your stuff. I'm about to hit mute in a second here. Pete, he had a lot of thoughts on. Hold on, what's Pete? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you good? Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay.
You can pose a question. I don't have
just
to be
wasn't sure
in
if you're,
shot in order to answer your questions.
The Bad Batch.
I can't wait.
I know you said that earlier.
I have no idea what the timeline's going to be, but I can't wait. And I defer to Braden on any further questions.
He did. Braden came in and he took all your thoughts and said, no, these were mine. Smacked you around a little bit. You went and grabbed a bottle of tequila and took a swig.
I'm kind of feeling like one of those guys on the floor of Congress, right?
Yeah.
They go in, they go to speak.
Was that exactly what Pete was going to say?
No, you just filibustered him. Like a filibuster.
No.
That's okay. You'll learn that in civics. But he did.
Maybe.
He did. But I think you're right, Braden, in your view, and that's the way I see it going down too. But I'm curious, Pete, the Bad Batch, the story arc, the timeline, I see this completely bleeding over into a rebellion. Like they're part of it eventually, but what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, obviously it's going to pick up immediately after. I would imagine it'll pick up right after where it left off in the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows where it goes from there? I think the biggest question for us is going to be, are they susceptible to Order 66? And you guys touched on it already. So that'll be an interesting thing. You would think that the chips are still there, because it's not like they were specially made clones. They were just clones that didn't develop perfectly, but they're pushing all in because they've already put up dark or Black Series figures for all of the members of the Bad Batch for pre-order. So they're obviously expecting something special out of this. It'll be intriguing to see where they go with the story. But honestly, I have no insights, and I'm looking forward to being a little bit surprised.
Camino was in the trailer too, which I thought was interesting.
No, the only thing that I'll say is, in one of the episodes, they did remove the chip from Echo's head. That was the surgery that he had. So we do know that at least he does not have the chip in his head. And maybe part of that story arc is him talking the Bad Batch out of either going to hunt down the Jedi, or maybe that's part of what goes on. So because we know once those chips are activated, that is their sole mission, is to hunt down the Jedi and kill them. So yeah, I have to feel like this is going to be a limited series. We may get 2 seasons, I feel like, at most out of this.
All right, that helps. So hey guys, so we got the last few things coming up. So we had the Bad Batch. This one I'm really, really interested in, and that is Acolyte.
Yes.
That's look. I don't know if this is an animated thing or a live action, but it's at the end of the High Republic, whatever that is, and we haven't even had those novels come out yet. So it's a whole novel series about High Republic. I think it's about a few hundred years, right, before the events of the Phantom Menace and so this will be an interesting one because Yoda will be a part of this. Like, he'll be a younger version.
We would think.
But we've seen some early sketches and renderings, and we think we see him, or at least his species is a part of it. Yeah, the Acolyte is an interesting one. So that is the fall of the High Republic, the rise of the Sith. You're really confused between Legends timelines and canon timelines of when the Sith fell and when they rose. You heard in the Phantom Menace, the Sith have been extinct for a millennia. So you would think that the end of the High Republic is at the end of 1,000 years, but I don't know. I could be wrong. That was Legends. This is different. So not really sure what this means, but what I think is interesting about this one is it is a insight, or at least another story, into the conflict between Jedi, Sith, and the Force. And so I this one looks cool. Might look cool because it's red lettering and a slash through it, which leads you to believe that this is a story that's focused on the protagonist perhaps being a Sith rather than a good guy, right?
Mm-hmm. That would certainly.
This makes me think possibly that, you know, Tython is a planet where it was like kind of like the origins of the Jedi and whatnot. So, and I know the show isn't really about Jedi, but as far as the conflict between Jedi and Sith, I wonder if maybe that planet comes into play possibly.
Yeah. So luckily I have I don't have that shot set up. We're just going to leave that red question mark in the middle. Yeah, Elliot, this is interesting to me, but we'll see. There's a lot more detail to come. Then,
this is one of the more intriguing story arcs that they could take, because this is going to be totally separate of every story besides some of the stories we've heard out of Clone Wars that we've gotten. So there is more potential for this to arc into other things and to lead into other parts of Star Wars lore that is rarely told except for, you know, the boogeyman stories and the late night stuff. So yeah. Really looking forward to this.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. And I think that pretty much wraps it up. I mean, I know we talked jokingly about droids, this whole droid series before, but I don't want to get into it. I'm done with it. And yeah, I think I'm done with just about everything else. I mean, there's a lot to unpack, and look, if you want to learn more about this or get crazy ass takes on what Star Wars things may be, what paths they may be headed down, well, that's fine. Go ahead and go to YouTube. I suggest you check out a guy if you want crazy crazy ass shit takes on what's going on with Star Wars. Go check out Mike Zero, who my son endorses. Everything he posts is
breaking news,
and it's shocking.
Absolutely.
He's always wrong.
Kathleen Kennedy, at minutes before Disney unveiled the new Star Wars.
Okay, well, that's a
they
very bad impression.
Kathleen Kennedy.
I'll let you keep, he's going to keep rolling with it.
Spin-off series.
He's not even listening anymore. He's not even listening anymore.
I will say, though, we should get your brother on and do a rundown of the Marvel stuff, because there is some pretty good stuff coming.
Tell you what, you get him to fire up his shit. What was it? Bad Critic. Yeah.
Yeah, hey, the Marvel segment, I gotta say, was pretty good. It was not, didn't even touch the Star Wars segment.
Yeah.
Not even close, but it was pretty good.
All right, guys, we've ran well over time, and so
Yes.
I've got to clear out the room, and I'm sure Elliot's got to go to bed too. Braden, you have school tomorrow, so we're calling it a night. Love you all so much.
I'll be all right.
No exit music. Audio will be baseball only.